This girl, named Akan Nishino, is a hot girl at school. As soon as she arrived, everyone looked at her with admiration. But the moment she entered the room, she encountered a boy she hated the most, the one from the anime. He looked innocent and gentle, but in reality, he was a very ambitious man. He called her Nishimura, which annoyed her slightly. However, he remembered and said he must have gotten thinner from staying up late watching TV, so he was a little dizzy. Nishino found it strange, because he was in the same class and sat right next to her for 3 months already. Was he mentally challenged? At that moment, she almost begged him to forgive her slight dizziness and called her by the wrong name again, Nishiani. After this incident, Nishino was very angry, but the thing she couldn't let go of wasn't the mispronunciation, but the fact that he completely ignored her when talking. It was like he was talking to a girl, but she was completely lost in her own world, not needing any friends at all. He sat there importing over 20,000 pliers. I squeezed 800, and 10 kilograms was enough to make me breathless. This guy must be an alien, the opposite of almost. The girl sitting next to him was very respected and loved by everyone. She even got to play the lead role in several Japanese movies at 9 p.m. next Monday. Wherever she went, everyone greeted her. The village boys were all infatuated, and the village girls were all admired. She was truly a super idol of the youth. But her dark side started in middle school. She was involved in a scandal that forced her to stop working in the entertainment industry. Since that incident, she didn't want to be hated by her teachers, so she became a model student. She didn't want to be hated by her students, so she became a well-liked person. Because she didn't want anyone to have a bad impression of her, she went through all sorts of hardships. She lived like that until now. After finishing her classes, she called her private driver to pick her up, but an incident occurred. Her driver was kidnapped and beaten to death by thugs. She kept calling, but there was no response. After answering the phone, she had no choice but to go home. The young man on the rooftop saw something amiss. He sensed something was wrong, and indeed, Sino was stopped by thugs on her way home. She tried to escape but couldn't. They were going to kidnap her. He almost appeared and saw everything, but he didn't intervene. She was kidnapped by 2 thugs outside. Following him, he began his operation. He chose to appear as the glass on the ceiling, giving himself the nickname Thug Killer. His style was such that as soon as the thug pulled out his gun, he immediately finished him off. One of them was already bored, but the second felt very excited. He threw away his gun because ever since leaving the army, he had always felt incredibly bored. Kidnapping hostages didn't cost him any calories, and his teammates were all trash and idiots, so he wanted to practice some martial arts. He pulled out a knife and successfully slashed the main character's hand. This reminded him of the war and made him feel extremely uneasy. He was overjoyed, but he knew his role was that of a supporting character, and his opponent was the main character. So he pulled out 2 weapons and smashed them, breaking the opponent's arm. Following that were a series of brutal beatings, a hellish experience for the main character. The battle was over. For the main character, losing meant death, no second chance. Nishino was saved, but he couldn't reveal his identity. After this battle, he was dissatisfied with himself. Since childhood, he had always admired heroes and wished he could become one. He grew up with a burning desire deep within his heart, a desire that would never fade and would drive him to be stronger. So he strived to obtain what he needed, appearing normal at school as a harmless, even ordinary, supporting character. Behind that facade was a combo of over 50,000 grappling techniques and superior martial arts skills. But continuing like this was meaningless. No matter how fiercely he performed, the enemy would give him a kick. The bullet was also dead. But if he became the strongest fighter in the world, Maya could still turn the tables. But even so, a nuclear bomb hitting his head wouldn't faze him. So he decided to switch to another server to start his life over in episode 2. He was hit by a truck and spent the whole day in the same spot. He woke up in the body of a newborn baby, but because he was still too confused, he just stood there, not crying, which surprised his parents. After a while, his operating system started working again, and he burst into tears. He didn't know what was happening, but that didn't matter anymore. He was surrounded by the magic power of his previous life, a magic power that he once thought was a pipe dream, but now he possessed it. Thus, he officially reincarnated into the Kaga family, a barbarian family from the countryside. Everyone here, including magic swordsmen and knights, used magic to enhance their bodies to fight, and the one expected to inherit the family wasn't him, but his sister. He was already overshadowed by his sister's talent. Time flies, and our protagonist has now become a young, shadowy assassin, operating at night and killing thugs and bandits. He possesses a very powerful skill called the Slame Sword, though still young, but with this skill, no one can stop our protagonist anymore. No matter how much they slash, it's no problem because he possesses the power of Slen within him. After avenging the bandits and helping the innocent merchants who were killed here, just as he was about to bring the harvest home, he discovered a monster in the form of a lump of flesh. Knowing this thing was cursed, he decided to take it home and begin experiments. After only a month, he successfully controlled the outburst of magic. After controlling the curse that was corroding its body, the monster returned to its original form, a beautiful girl with the blood of an elf. He told her that it was a curse placed on the descendants of heroes like her. Before dying, the demon god. The curse was the true reason she rotted into a mass of flesh, but there were those who distorted history. Those were the ones who turned people like her into despicable beings. They were the ones plotting to resurrect the demon god Diablo, and his mission was to stop that evil from the shadows. He asked her if she wanted to awaken and walk alongside him. To avoid being cursed, she had lost everything. Therefore, she would accept to go with him to his organization, now called Shadow Garden, and he would give her a new name, Alpha. And so, in the blink of an eye, 3 years passed. He grew up and became an ordinary demon swordsman at the age of 13. During this time, he always trained with his sister, and if he combined various martial arts from his past life's information-saturated society and rationalized them, it would become an extremely powerful technique. Now he had to hide his skills and play the role of an ordinary citizen. But secretly, he had established a dark organization for himself, a family he knew well. No one knew that his older sister would be enrolling at the Mika Magic Swordsman Academy when she turned 15. But on the very day of her enrollment, she disappeared. After learning of this, the girls in the guild immediately investigated and found the culprit, the Diamo cult. According to Beta, a new member of the guild, they suspected Lady Claire was a descendant of a hero. Lady Claire was captured while asleep, still wearing her pajamas, making her look very blurry. Lem, the leader, thought that her younger brother was the one who helped her overcome her demonic symptoms. To be sure, he said he would capture her for questioning. Hearing this, Claire immediately broke free from her chains and attacked him. She refused to accept them kidnapping her younger brother. If anything happened to him, she wouldn't forgive them. But because she was too weak, she took a punch to the face and fainted. At that moment, an intruder appeared outside, none other than the girls from the youth union in the garden were all instantly cut into pieces by these girls. Thang, dumbfounded, ran out to check the situation, but it was too late. Now this old man would have to take on 7 people alone. This was something he couldn't even dream of, because this old man was all talk and no fighting skills. He couldn't accept being idle here. He decided to use Rocket 1H+, a magical body-enhancing drug, but instead of using the Rocket 1H+ to take on 7, he would run away. It was a real escape, but he didn't know that the guy was already waiting below. Just in case, he would pick him up and beat him senseless. The power was overwhelming, but he couldn't accept dying here. He immediately downed the entire bottle of Rocket and became a monstrous giant, a man as big as a swallow. Even if he swallowed 100 Rocket Plus pills, he would still only be a background character with a 100 cash salary. As long as he took it seriously, he would officially be idle. The necklace had a picture of him from that time. In his youth, he and the girl he called Mia almost picked up the necklace and kept it with him. Afterward, he went on a mission to rescue the captain's sister in the Shadow Garden. After the mission ended, she returned very angry. Her wounds healed overnight, and the next day, she set off for the capital as if nothing had happened. After this incident, Min learned that the Diablo cult was a super-large, world-class organization. Therefore, the girls in the cult decided to part ways and disperse throughout the world to confront them. But he had already guessed this. He knew those girls had grown up, and that the cult didn't actually exist. They couldn't go along with this charade, so they wanted freedom. Although a little sad, it's okay. In episode 3, before dying in his previous life, because of his overwhelming desire for magic power, he went insane. He banged his head against a rock, screaming for magic power. Turning around, he saw a light behind him. No, the light of truth, but the light of a truck. When he turned 15, he's going to the capital to enroll in the Magic Sword Academy, a school for students with bright futures. His friends are 2 insignificant extras named Hyoro and Yaga. All three participated in a game where the winner of yesterday's test would be punished. The loser's punishment was to confess to the Academy's idol, only to be brutally rejected. What a painful punishment. The three of them arrived at the Academy, only to find the Academy's goddess, Alexa, brutally rejecting a guy. Next, Al will come to confess to her. He thinks these things are easy as pie. He'd been thinking of a confession all night, telling the other two to watch carefully so he could show them what he'd done. What a perfect, insignificant confession. He said it was the best confession ever, but when he met her, it was like this. It was scary, but no. That's the most insignificant confession ever, as far as he knows. It's clear to us that this is a shy, loyal, good boy who, if rejected, will run away and stumble like an idiot. But the opposite is true. She accepted his confession. She had long been waiting for someone like him. The two old men were left speechless after the successful confession. The whole school knew about it, and everyone was staring, not with admiration, but with resentment. His confession yesterday was clearly calculated, but it was so strange. By evening, they almost knew she didn't like him. She had an engagement with a young, lecherous teacher, so she needed someone to take her place. That's why she chose him, a low-ranking nobleman who looked easy to control. He wasn't interested and had no intention of interfering in their private affairs. But she said, there's a give and take, because she knew he was almost an alien in this punishment game. She wondered what would happen if everyone in the school knew he was playing with the heart of an innocent girl. But he didn't care. There was no other way. So she pulled out money and threw it at him. Our protagonist, Dung Dung, is a cold, charismatic guy who looks weak on the outside, but possesses the strength of a top server player on the inside, yet is also a money grubber. Do you all agree? If you all agree, then you all agree. That's right, it's all for survival. Don't worry about what he's doing. But when the second coin is flicked out, our protagonist becomes a mother dog. What's the point of modesty anymore? So he and Alexa continue their days of showering the whole school with dog food. Everyone is envious and resentful, but teacher Xenon is different. He remains calm and eats dog food on the train back home. Alexa finds his swordsmanship really pathetic. Even though he has a solid grasp of the basics, that's all he can do. But it's so captivating to her. She always wanted to catch up to Princess Iris, but from the beginning, the two were completely different. So she tried to become strong in her own way, and her swordsmanship is called the sword of an ordinary person, and so is his. But he doesn't think so. He likes her swordsmanship. Alexa wasn't happy to hear this, because, when she suffered a humiliating defeat, the original princess said those exact words, but no matter what, he wouldn't let it go. What might seem like nonsense to others was the most important thing in a person's life, which is why he liked her swordsmanship. Alexa didn't understand the meaning of those words. She immediately drew her sword and pointed it at him, but there was nothing there. He was simply annoyed that something he liked was being denied by someone else. The next day, upon arriving at school, he was immediately surrounded by teachers and students. The reason was that Princess Alexa hadn't returned to the dormitory since yesterday. The Knight's Order considered it a kidnapping and assumed he was the last person to have contact with her. In episode 4, Princess Alexa wakes up in a cell next to a monster. A mad doctor comes to take her blood. He knows her blood is the blood of a demon god. He will use this blood to revive her in the mortal world. Meanwhile, he is being tortured, but he doesn't say anything. The more he doesn't speak, the more the group. This guy beat him so terribly that my friend cried. But the crying looked so fake. He was so bored. Always acting. What's the point? Meanwhile, the psychiatrist was still diligently taking blood samples from her. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got, because they had sabotaged his research. He was getting increasingly insane. Then he vented his anger on the monster on the other side. Several days passed, and there was still no trace of Alexa. His older sister was screaming and shouting, demanding to go rescue her brother. Ship, after a period of torture, was released. Back at the dorm, Alpha was already there, because she had returned after receiving the news. The investigation into the cult was being conducted continuously by everyone in the guild, but for now, the whole team would put that aside and focus on investigating the current situation, because they suspected it was related to Alexa. She was getting worse and worse, and then there was the young man. In one night, he used up all his money, from hunting bandits to working as a dog, to collect money and these items, treating them as a collection. Late at night, the Dark Lord arrived at Delta's room to inform him that everything was ready, and, according to Alpha's orders, all members had gathered in the capital, totaling 114 people. The overall commander would be Gamma, but Alpha would be in charge on the front lines. Tonight, the whole world would know about Shadow Garden. In the alley, he encountered the two young men who had tortured him before. They showed him contempt as usual, but unfortunately, this was the Dark Lord, not some ordinary ship, so he immediately showed them what real torture was. On the other side, the other girls were going a bit too far, and things were getting tense. The old doctor didn't wait any longer and transfused Alexa's blood to the monster next to him. As soon as the transfusion was complete, it grew larger and immediately finished him off. He thought it would kill Alexa too, but no, it cut her chains and unleashed a rampage. Alexa was rescued and was patrolling the basement when she accidentally met the young master. He said this facility belonged to him, and the old psychiatrist was also someone he invested in. Alexa was both angry and happy upon hearing this. From the beginning, she had thought he was mentally unstable, and indeed, he was. As for this Zenon, if he could research her blood, he would be destined for the 12th seat in the Round Table and would say goodbye to his lowly teacher position. The Round Table is a gathering place for the 12 highest-ranking knights of the Diampro Order. Alexa didn't care and rushed forward, using her sword to slash him. But she was no match for him and was knocked out. She thought that perhaps everything would end. But at this moment, he appeared. From episode 5, it was clear that he was the one who had recently attacked the Diampro Order, boasting about only destroying a few small bases and looking down on them as cowards who only targeted the weaklings. He then attacked the main character. But he had already teleported to Alexa's location and questioned the Order's leader. Where are they? Outside, everyone is fighting the monster, but bullets don't wound it. If it's injured, it will recover quickly. Iris then appears and delivers a powerful blow, but it's still ineffective. Even if she cuts off its arm, it quickly grows back. At this point, Iris will chop the monster into pieces to see if it can regenerate. Preparing for the final blow, Alpha appears. When the monster attacks again, she leaps into the air and uses her power to deliver a fatal blow, completely incinerating the monster's body. From within its body, a girl emerges, just like Alpha. This girl is also afflicted with the curse and transformed into a monster in the thick smoke. She tells the queen to block Shadow Garden and then disappears. Meanwhile, the young goat has enhanced his magic power to fight back, but compared to him, this young goat is still too inexperienced. After that, there's a fierce sword fight so intense that the waves of the slashes alone can send bricks flying. Alexia sees Mien's slashes and knows what's happening. It was an ordinary person's sword since childhood. She had always dreamed of this foolish sword with the ideal, but because she lacked talent, she tried her best, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't match a genius, so she almost gave up and hated her swordsmanship. But when she saw the main character's swordsmanship, it gave her strength. Then, he ended the sword fight with a hook slash to the young man, causing him to spit blood. Still not giving up, he had 7 Rocket 1H pills in his possession. He put the whole bottle into his mouth, but only 1.5 pills went in. In an instant, he transformed into a monster full of magic. But in reality, he only became a punching bag for Min to hit, unable to stop the ultimate power of the young man. After creating a barrier, he realized that he had previously challenged a nuclear bomb, so he had trained hard, but that was still an unattainable peak. If he wanted to stand at the peak of fear, he didn't need to defeat a nuclear bomb, he just needed to transform himself. The ultimate nuclear bomb, a highly automated device, was unleashed, detonating an entire area within the barrier. The massive explosion, like the devastating blast of a nuclear bomb, engulfed the entire capital city in a magical purple hue of ultimate power, and quickly reached 119 Alexa when observed. After that battle, she swung those sword strokes again, considering it her comeback. The next day, Alexa met with and thanked him for saying he liked her swordsmanship. She also mentioned that they had been pretending to be dating, but now that the young man was gone, her engagement was cancelled. Yet, she didn't want to end their relationship and wanted to continue for a little longer. He replied with the same old excuse, "I have a belt." And so, she chopped him to pieces. The next day, the women in the group still talked about the young master's incredibly powerful outburst, thinking that after this incident, the remaining ones were terrified and considered themselves mere prey, waiting to be hunted. Continuing with the work was easy. She had discovered her target and was approaching and investigating ITA. She was still studying, and there was another urgent issue. The fake death sentence from Shadow Garden had just surfaced, and its power was receding. It's out now, and Princess Iris is currently losing faith in the Knights Brigade, because the swordsmanship master, whom the kingdom is proud of, is a follower of the Diablo cult. So now, she will establish a completely new investigation unit. But first, she must find someone who can decipher the function of this thing. Meanwhile, Min bumped into a beautiful girl. Min reached out and asked if she was all right, but she widened her eyes in surprise. It's unclear whether she was surprised by Min's blood-covered face or by the main character's gallantry and handsomeness. In Episode 6, from the alleys, mysterious gang leaders calling themselves Shadow Garden have begun to run rampant. Princess Iris found this artifact at the base of an organization calling itself the Diablo cult, so she asked a member of the scholarly group to examine and decipher it for her. At first, she was a little hesitant because she was still a student, but her father encouraged her, saying this was a great opportunity to develop further in the future, because sooner or later, she also became a researcher traveling the world. Hearing this, the series agreed. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances, the Knights of the Night, established by Princess Iris, would be in charge of guarding the place. So, along with his two friends, they were queuing to enter a viral store, but all three had to wait another 80 minutes before they could get in. Recently, rumors of nighttime murders had spread throughout the school, making the two friends hesitant, but they decided to go all out. At this moment, a store employee came to ask for a little time to help them with a survey. After entering, everything was decorated and arranged exactly like the department store in his previous life. She led him to a secret house. When they opened the door, there were so many beautiful girls greeting them. It turned out to be Gamma. This was her store, and she had used some of the knowledge the main character taught her to create this store. He also remembered that when he was little, he had casually told her about chocolate, and with his quick wit, she was intelligent, and she used it to achieve this success. She was very intelligent, but her physical abilities were a disaster. Then she sat down in the chair that Gamma had prepared for her. Sitting there, she felt like a true Lord of Darkness, rewarding everyone for their efforts in preparing such an expensive place. She unleashed a beautiful beam of light that filled the room. Currently, her shop has many branches in major cities, both domestically and internationally. Furthermore, she sells to remote areas by receiving mail and raising funds. She has raised a whopping 1 billion jenny, shocking Mai, because she never expected this girl to earn so much money based on her knowledge. There's also information about her main job. A group of assassins appeared in the capital, dressed in black, and impersonating Garden. Everyone is currently investigating, and there's another piece of news. A new member has joined the team named Nu. Her abilities have been recognized by Alpha, so after, Min and his two friends ran back to the dorm with their tails between their legs. On the way, Min suspected that Alexa was one of the thugs who had attacked indiscriminately because she had previously swung her sword at him without hesitation. While running, he suddenly stopped and said, "I have to go to the toilet. If I go back to the dorm now, I won't have pants to wear to school tomorrow." His two friends became extremely tense, not knowing what to do. After a while, the blonde-haired guy said, "We won't tell the whole world that you defecated everywhere, and even if you do, we'll always be friends." So the two of them ran back with teary eyes. Afterwards, they rushed up to the observation building to see Alexa. She was fighting alone against the Shadow Garden imposters, but they were getting more numerous, and her skills were limited. Just when they were almost in despair, Min appeared. The imposters saw this and ran away, but where could they go? After killing one, she appeared and asked for the remaining one to be dealt with. The next day, Alexa informed Iris of the accurate information. She was asked whether her enemy was Shadow Garden or the Diablo cult, and the Queen's answer was both. At the academy, Haijo was taking the chocolate he'd given yesterday to flirt with the girls in the upper class, but his fiancée grabbed him by the head and dragged him away for a martial arts exchange. It was a pity, but oh well. To avoid making the same mistake as that other guy, the bald guy went to the library to investigate and research his opponent, like what they liked to eat, what time they slept, the length of their skirts, the color of their underwear, their measurements, bust, waist, hips, bust, waist, hips, and A. He wasn't very interested in girls, so he gave the girl sitting next to him a series of chocolates, making her flustered. That evening, when her father saw the pile of chocolates, he said it was love at first sight and told her to reciprocate the feelings. In Episode 7, Nu disguised herself as a student and infiltrated the school to report that this was a characteristic of Chidance, the vanguard of the Diablo cult. But she didn't have much information, as she tried every method but couldn't get any more from the imposter. The girl's report was very serious, but on the other side, he only cared about the competition registration form that his two friends, worth every penny, had registered him for. When they finished registering him, they were extremely excited and told him to be grateful. "Okay, I'll give you 2 punches as a token of my gratitude for daring to make me go fight on my own." "Nu, you said their purpose was to create a misunderstanding about the name of Shadow Garden to lure us out, but there's a belt around that." The guy who revealed his face then left with a friendly greeting for the new member. From the beginning, he already had a way to handle this, so there's no need to worry or be stressed. After seeing the students here, Nu remembered his student life. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. Even the sword fighting tournament was coming up, and the guys here weren't very interested in fighting. What the newspapers here cared about was betting. The day the newspapers would decide who would win was gnawing on bread crusts or eating king crab. Right here, right after the match, these 2 newspapers are already bankrupt and preparing to leech off Ship. Then, in the 7th match, the main players are Ship and Chairman Rouse, facing Zos. Many others will be scared, but it's different. This will be an opportunity for the young man to showcase the 48 Commoners' ultimate techniques that he has painstakingly practiced for so long. When the match begins, both rush forward at breakneck speed. Just as their swords clash, Min almost cleverly swallowed a blood clot and took a blow that sent him flying 50 times in an hour. This is the ultimate technique of a rolling commoner when facing a sword. His skills are so top-notch that even the masters of feigning injury would have to call him Grandpa, but he still doesn't want to end it, as he still has 47 more ultimate techniques to show. So, our Min continuously rushes forward, even after taking more than 10 slashes, his smile still on his face, making Rose somewhat admire him. Then, he strengthens and rushes forward to finish, but the referee pushes Min out, ending the match. "Min Kyo, what the hell? There are still 33 more ultimate techniques. Let me show you the rest, Mom," he cried, and struggled in front of those big, dark, smelly guys, demanding to continue the fight, but everyone thought he was so badly beaten that he went crazy. As for me, I've completely lost to him in this fight. Going back to these 2 guys, my life is over. I'll be left empty-handed forever. So after getting bandaged up, and on the way back, I accidentally met Ceres. The girl was very worried about him, but this guy didn't even know who she was. It's true, they both had to rely on their strength. Then we went to a cafe to talk. Ceres kept praising him, saying he was so cool for getting beaten up, so he thanked her. But deep down he thought, this girl is so strange. They ate nearby. I'll ask her to find out. Haha, little Alexa said it was great, but her hands were shaking like a high-powered massage machine. Underground, the cult was preparing for a big attack. The leader held an artifact shaped like an eye, activating it to create a large-scale barrier. The ringleaders then infiltrated the classroom to ambush Rose. She was there, but strangely, when she used the enhancement magic, it didn't work. The boss immediately rushed forward and shattered her sword. He was about to kill her, but she almost blocked the blow, taking her hand instead and dying instantly. In episode 8, after seeing him almost risk his life to save her, Rose cried and realized that he had feelings for her from the beginning. She asked him, "Why do you have to prove your love by risking your life like that?" At that moment, the mysterious man pointed his sword at her and told her to quickly move to the main hall. After a while, all the students had gathered there. He almost started moving again, repeatedly hitting his chest with his hand to get the blood flowing and his heart beating. Here's the secret technique for killing people in 10 minutes. If it's more than 10 minutes, the Grim Reaper will come to take you away in a car. Meanwhile, in this series, she was diligently researching when a villager flew straight into her with a perverted laugh. He introduced himself as Shadow Garden, but a few seconds later, he shook his head and he asked if it was Shadow Garden or Shadow Guardian, and if it was a fake, that's how it was. His mission here was to retrieve the artifact from the series. He was planning to eliminate the series from Jia Din, but 2 guards outside stopped him, allowing her to escape across the rooftops. Just looking at them, you could tell their plan was going all out. Instead of worrying, he acted very carefree and optimistic. However, he found this group quite distasteful. Shadow Garden, I was using such dark tactics in broad daylight. At least they should operate at night. So he decided to eliminate them all and wait until nightfall to go on stage. He didn't forget to keep an eye on the series to protect her. Anyone who dared to sneak up on her would be in trouble. He'd grab them and send them to the underworld. While crawling on the stairs, she tripped and fell. Luckily, he was behind her, and caught her along with the artifact. Then they went back to his room to show him what had caused the magical chaos here, the Eye of Greed. It sucks up all the magic power within the barrier it creates, and when it has absorbed enough, it will release it all instantly. The reason all the students are trapped in the hall is to wait for the Eye of Greed to absorb enough magic power before exploding and blowing up the entire academy. The only way to subdue the Eye of Greed is with this artifact. Simply placing it near the Eye of Greed will neutralize it. Once she completely deciphers this artifact, she will come to the hall from underground and bring it close to the Eye of Greed. So this plan seems okay. Although it seems a bit lame at the end, it gives him a chance to go wild in his shadow form, so he accepts it. Meanwhile, Rex has returned, but without the artifact, making the leader quite angry because he knows it will definitely hinder his plan. On the way, his accomplices, for some unknown reason, have been captured and taken away. He stammered like a chicken with a bone stuck in its throat, turning around to find them there. He landed a quick blow to the face and then vanished. At this point, he used a magic net to protect himself, challenging anyone to break it, his mouth burning with rage. Little did he know that the headmaster had been behind him all along. He delivered another blow and kicked him into the classroom, which was littered with the corpses of his comrades, causing him to wet his pants at first sight. Meanwhile, the other guy appeared on the ceiling, looking terrifying, and delivered a fatal blow without him even knowing what his killer looked like. On the other side, the girl felt sorry for this old man, who had died at the hands of his enemy because of the magic seal, and the macro guy, who was once her fiancé, unfortunately didn't survive either. Afterward, she slowly went inside to find some items the series needed to decipher the ancient artifact. Incidentally, Shadow Garden has ambushed the academy and is awaiting orders. However, fighting without magic carries many risks. Things might suddenly disappear during a fight. How surreal. And on the Gamma side, that girl has incredible mobility. Already clumsy and wearing 5-centimeter heels, so every 10 steps, he tripped and fell. The young man, as usual, didn't pay much attention to the reports. Then, after gathering some supplies, he announced that tonight they would be partying like crazy without any magic restrictions. So all they had to do now was lie on the roof, eat and drink to their heart's content, and wait for the music to start. Anyway, let's move on to episode 9. Things are getting really tense. In Shadow Garden, the fake is underground while the real one is hidden above, and the series, after some research, she successfully activated the ancient artifact. Now she will open the secret passage behind the bookshelf. After the door opens, she remembers that painful past. Jerry saw the image of his mother being stabbed to death on the spot. Because she was a child, she didn't understand anything. Besides watching her mother die without caring who killed her, in her loneliest moments, the vice principal came to comfort and raise her. Having raised her to this point, she will now save the world herself without anyone's help. After the series ends, the masked man comes to talk to Man. He's very nervous on this side, wondering what that guy on the wall is doing that's taking so long. But he doesn't know that Rex is already on the altar, and the guys up here are starting to pull the trigger on the students below as entertainment. After a while, she crawls up to the auditorium. Although very scared, without hesitation, she activates the artifact and throws it at the Eye of Greed. After the artifact reaches a certain range, it glows, instantly neutralizing the Eye of Greed. Rose thinks, "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time." She immediately rushes forward, kills one to get the weapon, and shouts to all the students, "Let's go!" Everyone immediately rushes forward to attack, but because a lot of her magic power has been taken, she is still very weak. She has to fight 2 or 3 guys alone, but when she remembers the main character, she seems to be instantly given more strength. At this moment, someone should have flown down from the sky to Rose and praised her swordsmanship as beautiful, causing over 100 members of the garden to swoon. They were already present and began to unleash their power after receiving the battle order. The leader, seeing the approaching enemy, hastily retreated. The entire guild then burst into flames. It was no surprise, as this was their playground. Winner takes all, loser burns down the school. The flames surged into the entire academy. Ah, so this old man was the one who burned down the school. Even the basement wasn't spared. Unfortunately, Ceres was inside. This guy returned to his room, grabbed a pile of books, and set them on fire. But someone else was already there. He had been there all this time, and when he asked the vice dean what he was doing, he finally removed his mask. It turned out he was indeed Ceres' stepfather. He wondered why he was doing this. From his perspective, he knew the old man wasn't the type to be interested in such things. But he had once been at the top. He was a master of swordsmanship. But just as he reached the peak, illness struck, and all his hard work vanished in an instant. From then on, he devoted himself to finding a cure, and discovered it within an ancient artifact that Ceres' mother had researched. However, she warned him that the Eye of Greed was very dangerous, and forbade him from using it. He immediately killed her without hesitation. Ceres saw everything, but luckily, because she was so naive, she didn't suspect anything, so he raised Ceres to continue exploiting her. Just listen for fun, don't worry too much about the purpose. You're here to hunt him, he said. Both of them drew their swords, ready for action, and immediately unleashed their commoner's secret techniques, flying straight out and instantly transforming back into the Lord of Darkness. Knowing his true enemy had arrived, he used his trump card, transforming into a real monster, flying towards him and launching a series of lightning-fast slashes. However, these attacks didn't faze him, and knowing he could block them, he immediately concentrated his power and thrust forward. With even faster speed than before, the attack was very powerful, but unfortunately, he tried to rush forward with slashing blows and said, "I'll blame everything on you guys, but how ridiculous." Shadow Garden, who never followed the path of righteousness or evil, simply walked his own path with cunning and fearlessness. Anyone who dared to touch him could just throw all the blame on him. So, he stabbed all 4 of his limbs from the front, each sword thrust gradually towards his heart. That's how he killed his mother. Now, he will recount those slashing blows, then turn the sword and cut through his heart. The story ends. The haunting scene that will haunt her for the rest of her life unfolds before her father's eyes once again. In fear, the little girl could only hold her father's hand, screaming and crying in despair. Knowing she was a good person, with absolute trust in her father, he thought her life would be better if she didn't know this truth. Just after this incident, a newspaper article claimed that Shadow Garden was the kingdom's sworn enemy. That guy probably wants to go back to the durian market, Wang. The school was devastated overnight. If things continue like this, we'll probably have to drop out until summer. That's the dream of so many guys, no joke. Later in the series, she met him and said she would be going to study abroad in an academic city because she had a job she absolutely had to do. Because time didn't allow it, they said their final goodbyes and promised to meet again soon. In episode 10, after the school fire, everyone got a summer break that was extended from 3 months to 3 years. Most of the students returned to their hometowns to raise fish and grow vegetables, but he decided to stay. Secretly, a letter of a new mission from Alpha arrived. As for the other girls, they were too free. Some slept 24 hours a day, some fell asleep wherever they bumped into something, and some spent their days and nights admiring their bodies in the mirror because they were too beautiful. Actually, this girl was very flat-chested, but she used slam to make it look bigger. As for Beta, she just buried herself in writing, creating a legendary story about the Lord of Darkness. Wow, all the girls here are so hot. At this rate, our friend LC is going to die. LC and Beta then went outside to compare breasts. LC's breasts are big because of implants, while Beta's are naturally developed. In this case, would you choose the fake or the real one? Let me know in the comments below. After that, there was also a new order sent by Alpha to this girl. She was then taken back to her room, while Gamma's shop was now under her control. The talk of the capital was that when they found the best quality goods, the 2 sisters visited Gamma's store to buy some things for their trip to the Holy Land. When Gamma prepared some sweets for them, they immediately decided and asked Gamma for some everyday outfits. Okay, they got it right away. Their first item was extremely eye-catching lingerie from the T-Bark brand. Looking at the collection, they were immediately dazzled and said, "Wearing this is like not wearing anything at all." But Alexa was different. She was very confident about her buttocks, so she chose the red one. Now she just needed to try it on, and she was instantly satisfied. Then she dragged her sister inside. She said that youth only comes once, so using T-Bark products wasn't wrong. We can't live with thick fabric and Hello Kitty prints forever, so she told her sister to accept it. She even bought a dozen more thongs to wear gradually. Returning to that fiery night, after the incident ended, Rose rushed to find Ship. Finding him still alive, she was overjoyed and grabbed his hand. He said that since he had saved her life, she would dedicate her heart to him. Then things got serious, and they both ended up with a new boyfriend. After that, they traveled to the sacred place by train. Actually, It would only take a second to get there, but to play the role of an extra properly, he had to take the train. But when he arrived at the station, he met Rose, and this is what happened. Rose said that they would walk a path full of thorns, a beautiful story about a commoner achieving fame and marrying a princess of a great nation, and she was sure their love would become even stronger. He knew she was trying to trick him into joining the religion, but he had no other choice but to accept. That night, she secretly came to sleep with him, but he was already hiding. "It's not that easy to get him," she said. After 2 days, he arrived at the sacred place. On the way, Rose was very happy, because there was a book signing event for the author Natsume that day, and she was a big fan of hers, so she went there to get an autograph. Meanwhile, he had browsed through some of her works, but when I looked at the title, I was shocked to see Romeo and Juliet changed to Romeo and the Travels, and Cinderella became a hot girl. It was really bizarre. I was also impressed by this level of plagiarism. I thought the writer was another reincarnation of myself, but when I looked at the author, it seemed familiar, and it turned out that plagiarist was a little beta girl. I was also helpless, first gamma, then beta, using my knowledge to make money. The story is that before, I saw that beta really liked literature, so I told her some works from her previous life and told her to use them to come up with a really cool story. But who would have thought she copied everything and only changed the name? What can I do now? After it was done, I was very happy, because the plagiarizing writer even wrote my name in it. My child was different, as she only wrote a line of ancient script. Rose started to wonder, but I immediately explained that it was written that way to be cool. Anyway, to stop wondering, Alpha went to see the Grand Priest Riak being killed. Why was someone of his status eliminated? She was very wanting to know the truth of the matter. His bodyguard also arrived, but it was too late. Meanwhile, the boy was very satisfied, sitting and eating ice cream, waiting for the chaos warning bell to ring. At this moment, a guy from the sect acted, but he let them do whatever they wanted, but the outcome wouldn't change, because he was the strongest. Then, he flew down to interact with him, but before they could have any fun, Epsilon quickly subdued the 3 guys. She then announced that the plan had moved to Phase 2, but one sentence made her breasts jump. It looked a bit surreal, but I like following her. I know Epsilon has very high self-esteem. If you were to say that stuff was a mess, she'd probably be bored for 7 days and 7 nights. In episode 11, he went to the hot spring bath to relieve stress after tiring days. He remained as nonchalant as ever, unaware that this was the women's bath, and the girl sitting with him was none other than Alexia. Her face showed a look of disbelief. Is this guy crazy, or is he pretending to be gay to sneak in here? Too much. The question was running through Alexia's mind. She then asked Min about the wound she had inflicted earlier. He replied that it had healed, as if it had never been cut. Then she asked Alexa what she was doing there. Actually, Alexa was a guest attending the goddess's training competition, which would officially begin on the day the gates of the sacred realm opened. It was a battle ritual, where challengers would summon ancient warriors from the sacred realm to fight them, and if Min wanted to participate, it was too late. This event required prior registration, and only worthy ancient warriors would respond to the challenger's summons. It seemed the high priestess of the temple was bored, so she also planned to investigate, but she only said this much. If Min wanted to know more, he should join the Crimson Knights. But Min kept trying to persuade her, but she didn't know he was too stubborn. She said she was mainly there to scrutinize the silver goods, but there was no shortage of goods here, so why bother scrutinizing her? Even if she begged her, Min wouldn't listen. Alexa laughed, scrutinizing Than Excalibur's butter. That Than Excalibur you're talking about looks like an earthworm. You can judge a book by its cover, she exclaimed. Then she told her subordinate to transform into a lamppost and stand up to show the woman some manners. The woman was carrying 2 grapefruits. They looked quite heavy, but she had to carry a lamppost. Apparently, after this incident, I heard a very loud crashing sound coming from the bathroom. The gates of the sacred realm were opened, so the battle ritual would be held soon. Currently, everyone here has stopped accepting investigations, citing reasons such as needing to focus on the goddess's trial. They said, "This is a matter for the church. Let the church handle it, so Alexa doesn't need to worry about it." On the viewing platform, she stood next to the woman with the messy hair of a former birth mother. Alexa could tell from a quick glance at the woman's chest that it was quite dark inside. The beta woman didn't hesitate to look back at Alexa with a look of contempt, thinking that this woman wasn't suitable for the main character. Not at all, because all he knows is exploiting his princess status and his classmates, and the one he's most attracted to is the cute, platinum-haired, big-breasted Elle. That's right, he thought Lord Shadow wouldn't be moved by this cheap girl. Suddenly, Alexa kicked Beta in the leg with an extremely friendly smile and asked, "What are you thinking about, darling?" Below the arena, a magic circle appeared, creating a barrier for the matches, so he sat there, watching to see if he could pull off any stunts. Would he play the role of the Dark Lord? If he just stayed quiet among the masses, it would be a shame. Well, he'd made a surprise appearance. A little bit of fun, and then a run for the crowd to admire would be reasonable, but it wouldn't work. He actually just wanted to pretend to be a weakling, but keep winning in the tournament. Outside, these girls were being divided up to investigate. By evening, the battle was almost over, so he was quite disappointed with the event. But suddenly, his name was called out for the next round, leaving everyone speechless. Surprisingly, he was hesitant, unsure whether to give up or not. If he encountered an ancient warrior, his true strength would be revealed, and if he ran away, he'd be expelled from school, and his older sister would castrate him. So he decided on the third option, transforming into Shadow and causing chaos. He then activated his automic, summoning an ancient warrior. From within the circle appeared a girl, the witch Aurora, who had once brought chaos and destruction to her world. She pulled out a notebook from her chest and wanted to hear more information from the old man. He thought, "I've never seen such a fiery pair of breasts before. Nearly 70 times I've never seen one so alluring." The old man immediately agreed. Only worthy warriors could summon her. And then, as the summoner, his power reached the level of those who had once destroyed worlds. Aurora immediately unleashed hundreds of blood spears to attack. But he felt extremely excited to fight such a powerful opponent. After a while, all the blood spears had formed a barrier. Upon closer inspection, she was tightly bound by chains. Therefore, the other side would sweep their swords extremely quickly and finish her off instantly before leaving. The barrier was also shattered, and other magic appeared, creating a portal. In episode 12, Min had finished his game and was preparing to go soak in the hot springs when a magic portal appeared next to him. Even if he ran away, it would follow him. If he kept running like this, it would follow him all the way home, which would be disastrous, so he had no choice but to run into it. After trying it out, the gate at the arena began to open, so the goddess trial would be temporarily suspended. The Shadow Garden sisters also appeared and moved into the Pepsilon gate. They also tried to capture the chief priest, but he immediately ordered the executioner to successfully chop off 2 grapefruit-sized pieces. Taken by surprise, she quickly threw a lem to pick them up, narrowly escaping death. If the little Beta had seen this, it would have been incredibly humiliating. Enraged, she immediately chopped the executioner into pieces, causing the old man to bleed profusely. Then she grabbed his bald head and dragged him into the gate. Beta also entered the gate and slowly disappeared. Seeing this, Alexa quickly flew in. Rose did the same. Beta was there, and the 2 girls flew in, pouncing straight on Alexa. Taking advantage of the opportunity, she grabbed Beta. According to Alpha, this was the ruin where the hero Oliver defeated Diablo and then sealed his arm. This was the statue of the hero Oliver. It was a woman, not a man as it appeared outside. Furthermore, the face of this hero was exactly like Alpha's, which surprised Alpha greatly, because she should have been dead by now. Alpha, with her abilities, opened the seal of the gate. This was the tomb of ancient memories and hatred, where the sleeping demon god resided. Alpha took Oliver's hand and stepped into the white light ahead. To the side, he entered Aurora's room, the one Min called Violet. She thought she hadn't called him, but after the battle just now, although her memories weren't complete, she was certain that he was the strongest. How wonderful it would have been if he had appeared in her time. He asked her how to get out, but Violet didn't know. Just as he was about to turn away, he was called back. The man, the strongest in the world, stood before a beautiful woman, bound like this, yet he could turn away so casually. People knew he was judging her. So he thought she was cultivating, but it seemed like she was cultivating a way to ascend to heaven. He then cut the ropes binding her and conveniently cut her clothes as well. As far as she knew, this sacred realm was a prison of memories, so all they needed to do was destroy the magic core at the center to get out, and she would be freed. She didn't forget to remind him that magic couldn't be used here, but that seemed a bit unnecessary. As for destruction, he should be very good at it. Violet then took his hand and went to find a way to destroy this place. There was another rather sad thing. If she were freed, Violet would vanish. Meanwhile, this group had entered the memories of the hero Oliver. This was once a place where the cult collected orphans and turned them into guinea pigs for experiments. Violet, however, took him to her own memories, where she saw herself as a child sitting and crying. After being slapped in the face and returning to this side, Oliver, also known as Alpha, was one of the few children who adapted to the Apro cells. After growing up, Oliver was given a mission to collect Doctor cells from another place, not to subdue the Demon King, as rumored on the battlefield. This mysterious creature, even with only one arm, still caused immense destruction, so the cult used a high-grade artifact to seal the arm and used its blood to create the rockets that the previous few had consumed. In the laboratory, the old high priest created something that, just by licking it, granted immense power and immortality. According to the old man's revelation, that thing was a drop of Diablos' blood. He then strengthened his body, but was immediately stabbed from behind by Delta and died. A while later, he returned as the monstrous, greedy sun, and the whole group was transported to a white space. He was on the other side, looking utterly perverted. He then created clones. In episode 13, the old man created many clones of Delta, each pair of them appearing with a single glance, but these were just illusions. He continuously attacked, and when the tip of his sword touched Delta's hand, she gradually lost her strength. According to the pot-bellied old man's explanation, when one gets close to the center of the sacred realm, their strength is lost, but he was the opposite. Delta didn't care. If he was her prey, she had to devour him. Meanwhile, for some unknown reason, the boy was now standing below, while Violet was above. Both were transported to the next memory. Below the pit, the girl as a child was sitting alone crying. Violet saw this and grabbed her sword, preparing to kill her as a child, but the corpses rose up and attacked. Violet managed to run and carry her away. The girl's armor was gradually disappearing as they approached the center of the sacred realm, and the girl's armor fell off. Seeing this, the old woman calmly picked it up and said, "Did you see anything? Anyone who says they saw something, I'll send them to heaven." The two girls, although without magic, were still carefree, because when they were, Little Min focused on physical training, but the zombies kept appearing. Seeing this, he immediately killed Violet when she was a child to escape these memories and was immediately taken to the center of the sacred realm. In front of him was a sword with countless chains. When the taken foolish, Delta, even if all her belongings were gone, was still going wild. The old man was gradually feeling scared and was about to unleash his full power, but Delta pulled out her iron block and smashed the old man's beer belly. He tried to pull the sword out, but it refused him. Below it was written that the holy sword could only be pulled by direct descendants, and there was no other way, so he gave up. The old man still refused to give up, and Delta continued her slaughter. After a while, everyone was brought back to reality. Delta was about to kill the old man when he called Oliver, but by then, Epsilon had finished her investigation, so the whole group would return because her goal was to sever the source, not to fight. On the other side, the two had nothing to do but play tic-tac-toe. He also asked Violet if she wanted to transform. "It's a lot to lose," she replied. "It's more accurate to say I'm freed than disappearing, because this is a prison of memories, and I feel miserable being here right now." The main character of the performance had reached the point where he could draw the holy sword, but when the old man revealed himself, Min was a little disappointed because this main character was incredibly ugly, bald, and even more surprisingly, the girl accompanying him also looked very much like an alpha. So, after drawing his sword, he engaged Oliver in combat. Oliver continuously attacked him, but seeing the guy's face so nonchalant, like he'd just finished eating weed after getting beaten up badly, he flashed a smile brighter than my future. Oliver Land lunged forward incredibly fast, stabbing him straight in the back. But now he had no interest in a fight without any dialogue, and this girl had no heart, so she couldn't answer his questions. Violet then rushed over, telling him to stop because she didn't want him to die. Seeing this, the old man also urged Violet to cooperate, and he would release the guy. Violet agreed, but, "No way, I'm still grinning here. You guys act like I'm invisible." Oliver then lunged forward, stabbing straight into men. From episode 14, he continued with a confident smile, opening the show. He immediately subdued Oliver and bit her shoulder like a shadow. With just one tear, Oliver would explode. Oliver shattered, but it didn't stop there. The old man summoned hundreds of other Oliver girls to attack, but it was too late. He regained his strength and swung his sword, slicing them all away. The bald old man was stunned, not expecting men to be able to use magic. But for the main character, If the magic he cultivated was absorbed, he only needed to concentrate it until it couldn't be absorbed anymore. All the Oliver girls attacked, but to him, these were just like puppets. The fun was over. A magic barrier was unleashed. Oliver quickly lunged forward, stabbing straight into his heart, but it was too late again. Automic was unleashed, blowing everything around. The explosion erupted, dyeing the entire area purple before quickly dissipating. Before him was the demonic arm, slowly moving and lunging towards him, but it seemed to be a dream. He woke up in a forest with Violet. She tried to touch him but couldn't. Now, she honestly admitted that she had previously wished to quickly disappear to forget the memories, but now she had a memory she didn't want to forget. Him. She then gave him a kiss before vanishing in an instant. Not knowing what else to say, she simply left. After this incident, Alexa felt they were all useless, unable to do anything but stand and watch from afar. Garden handled it, so she wanted the three of them to cooperate and gather information. However, she didn't know what kind of information it was. After some thought, the three decided to cooperate, unaware that one of them was a spy. Epsilon's hypothesis was correct. The witch Aurora was actually the demon Debro, and the next stage would be the capital city of Mika Gamba. She accepted the challenge and made a big move, buying all the real estate on the street. To rebuild the city, after that battle, little Delta was playing in the sacred land with her cool outfit. Alpha, in her free time, would remember her childhood past. In a desolate area, the group had built a house with a design from her previous life. There were many children inside, but they lived very happily. Growing up, they were the same, though a little mischievous. Some were jealous because of breasts. Alexa, while with her sister, begged Iris to investigate the sacred sect, but she refused. If Diablo or Shadow Garden tried anything at the upcoming Bison Festival, no matter how powerful the artifacts they possessed, her sword wouldn't be afraid. As Iris knew, the magic that stained the capital at that time wasn't the power of humans. She believed it was from artifacts possessing immense magical power. If they appeared at Bison, she only needed to defeat them in a very fierce competition. But guess what she'll do then? Meanwhile, Delta was diligently practicing when suddenly she felt a jolt from behind. A red vein appeared on her chest. In episode 15 of the Bison tournament, a gathering of renowned masters from around the world, Min also felt the lively atmosphere. So, at this tournament, he would conceal his true strength and participate. Initially, the audience would think, that guy named Sita, right? He's definitely dead. But then, he would defeat his opponent, leaving the audience speechless. Just thinking about it gave our man goosebumps. Afterwards, he visited Gamma's place, suggesting she wear shoes instead of clogs, as she would always have a nosebleed whenever she saw him. His purpose in coming here was to tell Gamma that he wanted to conceal his identity and participate in the Bison tournament. Hearing this, a ton of civilian costumes and weapons were brought, so he chose Gamma. Then, he applied an improved version of the Slame Cream from Bin Duong to his face. Just applying it would make his face swell up like a concern. After applying it, they would flip over the Bin Duong rice cooker. This guy from Bin Duong got his head started and then activated it, and now the main character has a different face. Typical Bin Duong stuff. That's a strange thing. I just crawled down and fell flat on my face, so after that, I crawled to register in the guise of a swordsman addicted to drugs. When the girl with green hair saw my addiction, she asked me about it and said that if I used a cheap sword and had a weak body, they would beat me up and send me to the hospital. Now I just breathed a sigh of relief and replied, "Don't look down on others in life, son. I'm currently feeling extremely satisfied with this addicted appearance, because I can use the techniques from the experiment. But actually, the world's strongest red shadow isn't far off." Before I could go far, some big, dark, smelly guys came and told me to go back to my mother's milk. So I said, "You guys are a bunch of chickens," and the biggest guy immediately punched me. At this moment, I should have stopped time and continuously punched back and gouged out his eyes, but I didn't want to do that, so I let him hit me. It's better to hold back here for the tournament when those guys don't know my strength yet. The girl also came and told me to give up, but she had a belt. Then she said her name was... When Anarat asked his name, he didn't hesitate to answer, saying, "Just call me the bloodthirsty swordsman." But the bird was tiny, so the stats would be 1300, while this bloodthirsty swordsman, just looking at him, you can tell he's under 50. He was sure this match would go to the LED golfer, but as soon as it started, the link ended with the bloodthirsty swordsman winning. Maybe that muscular guy hadn't topped up his VIP status, so he got kicked out of the server. Everyone thought he had a stroke, But Anna, this girl, saw the bloodthirsty guy hit him in the chin in 0.01 seconds. Then the gold-plated guy went in to analyze the situation for Hydro and gave him 2 betting tips. First, bet on handsome, cool guys like him. Second, follow the first method. The next day, Hydro announced shocking news to the main character. Rose had stabbed her younger brother and run away. Sounds pretty intense. Rose is going all out now. See episode 16. Rumors about Rose's drama spread everywhere because she was the second daughter of the Duke of Oriana, so if she were caught, she would face severe punishment. Rose had entered the sewers, but her location was quickly found by Garden, who reported it to Beta, who ordered continued surveillance. The business meeting continued, and on the way to the restroom, he encountered a girl. She smelled an elf scent on him. The story is that she was looking for her sister and asked if Min had seen any elf with a face like hers. But after she took off her hat, she looked exactly like an alpha, but Min said he didn't know. Then she drew her sword, intending to attack him. How strange, he thought. To avoid trouble, he pretended to be an alpha. Help me. Seeing that he was just a civilian, she apologized and said her name was Bitties. Meanwhile, the two of them sat down to discuss yesterday's sword addiction and suspected he had used a forbidden artifact. But whatever the case, the truth will become clear after today's match, and the opponent of the addicted swordsman today is Gold Armor, a man who has never been defeated but cannot be called invincible, as he only avoids opponents he can defeat. If he encounters such an opponent, he will immediately give up. I also entered the battle. As the match began, Don rushed forward, but missed, thinking he would take a hit from Men. But then he slowly drew his sword. According to this girl's analysis, she believes that the previous attack was the addicted swordsman shaking his head at the same speed as me, running to the chessboard when her parents weren't home. The gold-plated guy was so angry because he had just been forgotten that he insulted the addicted swordsman, but Men didn't care. So the gold-plated guy exploded, unleashing the golden dragon sword and charging straight at Men. The result left the entire audience stunned for 5 seconds. The gold-plated guy flew away at 100 bananas per hour and then fainted. According to the analysis, while the gold-plated guy was charging, the addicted swordsman sneezed and swung his sword right at Men. The situation turned out like this. The big guy heard that and broke out in a cold sweat. Then, suddenly, he shook his head and sneezed repeatedly, making everyone stare in disbelief. He must have gone crazy from the effects of alcohol. Meanwhile, Iris had gone to see Oriana's family, but it seemed Doraemon was still alive and well, and it appeared His Majesty had been hypnotized. They didn't let Iris participate in this matter. On the other side, after a sneeze, a lazy young man named Hyojo, who trusted his golden-plated older brother, was now bankrupt. After leaving the arena, Aneros came to warn him that she had seen through his trick, but Hyojo just smiled lightly and removed his over 100-kilogram gauntlet, saying, "These heavy objects are the chains that restrain me," leaving the girl stunned. Then she said to herself, "You're just assuming you'll win, aren't you?" Min thought, how long has this girl been like this? On the other side, she had been discovered and was trying to escape. See episode 17 for more details. Early in the morning, Hirozo was banging on the door, and when I opened it, he told me how to make money. A bounty on Guildmaster Jose. He said capturing her alive would get me 10,000, but I already have a mountain of money from my girlfriend Gamma, so why would I need to get involved in this? However, Hirozo is now penniless from gambling, so he's piling on the guy who almost got involved and splitting the money 5-5. As for me, I was originally encouraging her to run away because I like rebellious girls, but now that I'm free, I'll join in for some fun and also ask her directly why she acted that way. On the way, I accidentally heard a piano piece, which brought back memories from my past life. Due to my family's parenting philosophy, I sometimes thought that instead of playing the piano, I'd want to spend my time practicing to become the Dark Lord. But after a while, I realized playing the piano wasn't bad, and the image of the Dark Lord playing the piano under the moonlight was pretty cool. After a while, I realized it was a sonata. The moonlight was here, the same light I'd seen before. He rushed in, hoping another reincarnated person had arrived, but was disappointed to find the player was the girl with the large breasts. After a while of talking, both the other two girls, and this one in particular, used the things he'd taught them to become famous. He then asked the girl with the large breasts if she knew anything about Rose, but she said the task belonged to Beta. Seeing this, Min left, complimenting her on how beautiful she looked today. Then, a few days later, When they met again, it seemed like the girl with the large breasts had gotten even bigger. Alexa and Beta were on their way down to the basement to find Rose. On the other side, Rose was gradually weakening. Something was spreading throughout her body. Remembering the moment she met her father, she was terrified. Her father looked like a man possessed, and next to him was Noelle, who was grinning sinisterly. Everyone else in the room felt the same way. Sensing something ominous, Rose immediately drew her sword to attack, but it seemed she had fallen into a trap. With no other choice, she decided she was about to run away when her brother urged her to surrender before the Boozin festival ended. Otherwise, he would make her father kill the foreign guests. She didn't make a calm decision. Instead, she acted on her rage. From that moment, she knew her brother was just a pawn of the cult, and even if she killed him, the cult's roots would be deeply embedded in the Oriana kingdom. Her body was getting worse and worse. Continuing to hide wouldn't do any good. She considered surrendering, at least to avoid war. But then she remembered Cid, and after eliminating her brother to save her father, she would return to him. But things didn't go well. She was possessed by a demon and fell into a deep sleep. Suddenly, she heard the sound of white light music. The music led her to the person playing it. It was Shadow. After playing the music, he asked her what she intended to do. If she wanted to protect everyone but couldn't do anything, would it end there? Would her war end there? Rose didn't want to stop. Again, and wanting to create a better future, seeing Rose's fighting spirit, he bestowed upon her the power of darkness, simultaneously destroying the cursed contract within her. The summoned beings appeared, and she immediately swept her sword, destroying them all. Alexa and Beta also found Rose. Because she had just been granted power, she would now follow the path she had chosen. Alexa insisted that she tell everything, but Rose didn't want her to be implicated. Alexa, however, didn't care about the future, whether Rose would become a hated person or not, because all three of them had promised to go together. So Alexa drew her sword and fought Rose to force her to reveal everything. The two had a furious battle. Alexa was truly serious about this matter, but after it ended, she was still the loser. As she was preparing to leave, Beta said, "We are from different organizations, but we both aim for the same goal, and our paths will surely intersect in the not-too-distant future." On the way back, she coincidentally met her older sister, and then things got complicated. After episode 18, she dragged him into a room and choked him while she was waiting for him in front of the dormitory. She imagined beating him senseless in her head because he had promised to go home with her during the summer vacation, but Min ignored her, causing her to lose her temper. She then gave him a ticket to the special seating area of the Boozin festival so he could watch the competition and learn, as she was also participating, and was sure she would win. The next day, he was taken to the VIP seats inside, where all the nobles were present. Princess Iris was also there. She bowed her head and apologized for the incident with the young teacher and hoped he would reconcile with her younger sister. He still remembered the moment he transformed into a dog, barking and acting like a cat for that little girl, so he felt a bit embarrassed. Afterwards, he asked the people there if there were any noteworthy contestants, like the addicted swordsman, for example, but Iris had never seen that person's match. The two people next to Iris had watched it, but their assessment was that the swordsman was fast. But that's all there is to it, and that guy doesn't deserve to be in the official round. They think the addicted swordsman is just lucky and has no real skill, but the more they criticize, the more they like him. Iris, on the other hand, only pays attention to the elf swordsman, nicknamed the God of War. Hearing this, she excused herself to go pick some flowers and catch butterflies for a bit before returning. While walking, she met Brit and asked him the same question. "Have you seen any elves who look like me?" But he gave the same answer again. So the two exchanged a piece of cake and left. Meanwhile, on Iris's side, the guy came to talk to her and flirt with her. He didn't care much about the beard because he knew that eventually the beard would come back, and her father was still under some kind of hypnosis or something. The person below was lost in thought. The match between the addicted swordsman and Anna Rule began. Knowing that the addict was very fast, but his swordsmanship was quite weak, she launched a continuous attack, like an addict dodging a dream before the addict made a mistake. She countered, but the main character teleported behind her and said something. Now, her attacks were just after images. He began his counterattack, moving at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Anna was constantly attacked without a way to retaliate. Only now did she truly acknowledge how incredibly strong the addict was. The addict then lunged forward with super speed. Anna sensed the attack and swung his sword, but the addict dodged the blow and delivered a counterattack to the shoulder, ending the match. After this match, the entire audience was left speechless by the addict's ability and strength. Iris was also quite impressed with him. The second match would be between Iris and the addict, and she said that she didn't care what he was hiding, but whatever it was, she would cut him down. She said this seriously, and it sounded quite impressive. After this incident, the gang leader ordered his men to investigate Than, suspecting him of being a member of the underworld. If Than was behind the lawless gang, he would be in trouble. Fortunately, he didn't notice that the addict was Shadow. Because he knew it was far away, Garden didn't need to show off at the Busin festival. On the way, Anot called back, "Wow, that girl with the chestband is pretty good too." Anot now acknowledged the power of addiction. As for her, to become stronger, she left the country and thought she was stronger, but somehow became complacent. Before leaving, Anot asked if she could serve the Empire, but for addiction, it was too dazzling, so she declined. The next day, Iris hurriedly went to see Brittic. Seeing Iris hungry, Brittic offered her a cake, but she refused. Well, let's not talk about it. Meanwhile, Brittic was very satisfied because he had achieved 70% of his goal at the Busin festival. Now, he just needed to defeat Iris, win the championship, and then he breathed out, "I've completed my goal," and disappeared. Just hearing that sounds incredibly cool. Besides, there's also the type who suddenly says, "I am a dark assassin from the dark organization. I've come here to take lives." From the shadows, she rushed in to grab it. But let's put that aside. First, she had to face her older sister's wrath for not watching her match. Episode 19 has passed. Princess Iris, since childhood, has been admired by everyone for defeating the captain with just one move. As she grew up, she maintained her winning streak. After joining the Knights of the Order, she became even more of a source of pride and admiration for the people of Midgar. But since the appearance of Shadow Garden, she has been treated as a spectator in the battle, unable to do anything except stand and watch. Her father also opposed her, not wanting her to choose a path that would harm the country in order to prove herself. Thinking about those times, Iris became even more sad and resilient. The next day, Bittis went to the VIP room as invited by Iris. As soon as she arrived, she was stopped by the guards. When they learned she was the mysterious martial god, they were shocked. They then asked everyone if they had seen Elle, but all answered no. Incidentally, they asked Bittis if she had noticed Elle during this festival. No matter who it was, she wouldn't hesitate to answer that it was Sheet, because she knew she would definitely become powerful, which surprised everyone a little. But it's okay. Her attention was focused on something else. That's right, the father of the bearded man is being treated by some kind of drug. I heard that just one dose can turn a person into a puppet. It's some kind of drug in Bin Duong, perhaps. According to some information I know, this old man is trying to force His Majesty to hand over the key, but he refused, so it turned out like this. And the old man also knows that Zosi has symptoms of being possessed, so he won't escape for long. At that time, he will tell His Majesty to kill the kingdom of Midgar to start a war between the two countries. The battle between Addiction and Iris has also arrived. Addiction looks too ordinary, but deep down, it's not ordinary at all, so Iris will give her all from the very first moment the battle begins. Iris's head was instantly blown off before she could even figure out what was happening, but when she did, she was thrown out. It seemed like a moon illusion, or just her instincts. She faced death just as she stood up to swing her sword, immediately feeling a slash from above. She rushed to the VIP room, but upon reaching it, she saw only the corpses of members of the Diablo cult. On the other side, she was tied up. Shadow Garden also appeared, and Beta urged her to advance to complete her mission. On Iris's side, she was constantly being psychologically attacked by the addict with hallucinations. Just seeing the addict's arm move slightly made her feel as if her limbs were being severed. The audience above began to complain about Iris, making her extremely worried and prone to outbursts. But when she threw her sword, she didn't see the addict holding it, causing her to stagger. The addict immediately retreated, controlled his bow, and told her that the match had only just begun. Iris could only stare in disbelief. Her father, Mr. Du, was utterly astonished, never expecting the addict to be able to use such a skill, something even the strongest magic swordsman couldn't do. At that moment, Rose found him. She knelt before her father and said, "I've come here to atone for my sins." From the beginning, as the Princess of Oriana and the daughter of His Majesty, she asked permission to continue on the path she believed in. "I forgive you, my daughter," he said, his words coming from the bottom of his heart. He was currently just a puppet of his master, and his master hadn't given him any orders. Hearing this, Rose lunged forward, stabbing her father in the heart to free him. Before dying, her father said one last thing: "I love you." Having completed his mission, Rose was about to end her own life. But then the main character appeared, stopping her and killing the others with his sword. Rose recalled the time she was addicted and transformed into a liquid shadow. Before he could finish introducing himself, Rose said, "You are the one who killed the bandits." The style of swordsmanship made Rose lose all her enthusiasm. Rose was overjoyed because he was the master of that swordsmanship. At that moment, men performed a fierce sword dance with beautiful movements around the bandits who had kidnapped Rose, shouting with joy. After finishing them all, Rose asked Min what was his name. They only said to call him the stylish thief killer, and now she's met him again. She thought the girl back then was a beastman. Who would have guessed it was this girl? She blamed herself for those days when he always tried to fight against the enemy. Yet she wanted to escape as soon as possible because of the suffering and fear. She wanted to become his wife, to ease her fear. He said her battle wasn't over yet. Hearing this, Rose immediately rushed forward. The soldiers of the villain were also killed by Garden, but to fight against the strong opponent, Bitiz would take this opportunity. He countered with Mensu, blocking the sword attacks of the two so powerful that the shockwave created destroyed the entire arena. In episode 20, Iris was surprised to learn that the addict was Shadow, and this was the first time she'd seen him, so she went crazy, but didn't know what she could do. She had just become the clown, and all the people present began to evacuate in the storm. The villain was also in a carriage, quickly leaving the capital. Meanwhile, Bitiz and were both. The fight was evenly matched, but in reality, it wasn't just a matter of Bitiz blinking. He was already behind her, launching an attack. She managed to block the heart-stopping slash, and he continuously manipulated her psychology, making Bitiz extremely confused. She looked here and there, but her face remained calm and relaxed. Then Iris appeared, wanting to join the fight. She drew out a sword made of mislin, surprising men because it was an ancient artifact. He smirked contemptuously, not expecting her to rely on an artifact. He thought, how cowardly. Iris, being the only one using an artifact, then went berserk. She unleashed a massive burst of fire onto the sword, slashing men in the back of the head. He playfully teased her a little, slashing twice. Min thought her showmanship wasn't bad and considered it interesting to use it for a performance at the festival. Bitiz and Min's fight resumed, but Sweet remained very worried. Worried about his younger brother, not knowing where he was hiding, he now had to face these two girls alone. Iris enhanced her fire and successfully slashed him, sending him flying towards the building, then lunged for a finishing blow. But Mian managed to block the two girls' swords with a crowbar. The three of them attacked continuously, causing everything in their path to collapse. Afterwards, using two crowbars she had picked up to make two batons, she met Alpha. Alpha gave her. Two decisions were made. First, to fight alone. Second, to fight alongside Shadow Garden. Rose and the others asked if they intended to save the Kingdom of Oriana. Alpha answered without hesitation. "We won't act because of you right now. If you want to save your country, prove your worth and the Kingdom of Oriana's worth." After some thought, Rose decided to fight alongside Shadow Garden. Meanwhile, Min showed no signs of weakening or losing his advantage, which angered Iris. So, he performed a witch's secret technique, the vampire's move, for the two of them. Seeing this, Iris shot fire at him, but he managed to teleport and then kicked her into the river. However, Bitiz successfully severed his arm. The three of them had a series of sword fights in the capital. He manipulated her psychology, but Bitiz adapted to it, earning her an 8 out of 10, and a comment that her swordsmanship was almost as good as his. Unfortunately, there can only be one main character. At this moment, he lunged forward, aiming a spear at the main character, but only Min could block even that move with his fists. He thought that with borrowed strength, he wouldn't be able to defeat Iris even 1,000 years later. Iris then charged at him, half dead, trying to kill him. But he threw her sword away and kneed her straight in the chin. But on the other side, Bitiz cast a fatal blow. He lunged forward, but with his super speed, he dodged and knocked them both out, then delivered a super shock to both of them, making them scream. Iris struggled to get up and said, "The knights of the royal capital are being mobilized. They will all be enemies of the demon lord, so you have nowhere to escape." He just smiled broadly, feeling refreshed. Escape? What escape? He immediately went berserk and unleashed a large amount of magic, creating a barrier. These two have messed with the wrong person. The game is over. Inside the barrier, Alexa calmly continued to wield her sword, while on his side, he looked up to admire the ultimate, unparalleled, and supreme magic technique. He was about to unleash a piercing, space-piercing attack. A supreme, ultimate, unparalleled technique, automic, was about to be unleashed, but then he turned around. It was already dawn, so he asked for help. The one who stayed behind had fun. He was just teasing. He'll show us in Season 2. After this, the loudest one is usually the one who suffers the most. If he didn't get stung, Iris would have been beaten up. No, he's full now. He should know his limits. Then, a few days later, the press reported that the clown Iris and hamburger Bittis had successfully repelled Shadow. The story of Oriana and her father is still unclear. Shadow Garden and the demon who turned around at dawn are also still unclear. Well, this news was read by the red-haired girl. It looks quite similar to the series, but I don't know if it's true. Her room is plastered with wanted posters. Patting the head of the person named Bittis, she also failed in the assigned plan and can't justify it. But Oriana has lost her king, so things will be shaken, and he's sure that the beard will return. Bittis also went back to her hometown full of disappointment when she couldn't find her sister in SA. Garden is still operating normally without any problems. As for Delta, she's still naked from the day before until now, so he's returned to his days of holding. My pen is gone after a long summer vacation, and Hydro, after that gambling incident, was dragged out to sea to fish to pay off his debt. Everyone here has given the Lord of Darkness a new nickname, the Demon Slayer. As for Rose, she followed Alpha to the ancient city of Alexandria, the true base of Shadow Garden. Now, Rose will be trained here to become a shadow with a new name, 666. Seeing Rose's outfit and not liking it, he immediately slashed through her clothes. Even the wrapping paper of the cookies that Ship gave her was chopped into pieces. Because entering here means giving up everything, Rose didn't know what to do except cry in pain. For the main character, everything still went according to his wishes, and the moment of awakening was approaching. Now he just had to sit back and wait for it to end. Thus, Season 1 ended with a truly pitiful ending for Rose, who was forced to accept giving up everything to hide in the shadows. Season 2 will surely be a powerful comeback for her, and I will too. This video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give the channel a like and subscribe to support me.